Fantastic. We are live. Yay. Okay. Wonderful to see you guys. Welcome to Self Love Sundays. I guess YouTube changed some settings on how to go live from Zoom. So we kind of had to set up a whole new back end because usually the software that we use, apparently it's no longer compatible with their setup process. And yeah, we had to figure out very last minute how to go around that. So I appreciate your patience. But I am so happy to be here with you guys, and it's such a joy. And we are at the beginning of a very powerful month, guys, with so much going on in terms of change and transformation uh, globally. And this is like on a level that most of us have not really seen. Let me just put this on silent. So we're kind of beginning a new change in this world, and each one of us are the change. We are essentially the light that is anchoring into this planet a transformative new way of being through the new human, the new understanding of how we are and how we function. So I want to talk about that because I've been getting a lot of downloads about what we should kind of be focusing on at this time. And one of those things is kind of understanding the bigger picture of how what we're doing through the healing work that we're doing. Because this week in the practice, a theme that kept coming up was the feeling of resistance and self-doubt with the internal self. And I want to announce that on this month we have a summer solstice coming up, and it's going to be one of the major transformative events of this year that will allow us to kind of tap into a clearing, kind of a clean slate that is opening for us and energetically. And I'm feeling things intensifying so much more in with the invitation to really get into those sub layers of ourselves that are still causing resistance in seeing yourself as the divine, seeing yourself as light, as the ability to heal yourself, and as beginning to exercise your abilities. The future, as I mentioned many times, is it's multidimensional, it's etheric, and it's through us that we cultivate these powerful abilities of vision. And the vision is a combination of deep emotional understanding, deep self-knowledge, and how to actualize that into the physical material realm. And the link between those two is a merging of spirituality, it's a merging of science, it's a merging of physics, a merging of mathematics, geometry, because there's so many things that we're learning about our body as it's multidimensional. And the way that we function when we come and enter into our highest optimum state is essentially that we are really coming into a state of co-creation. And there is a certain way of tapping into co-creation that is beneficial. It's healing, not just for you, but your lineage and this world as a whole. And what are we healing essentially is we're healing the perception of separation. Essentially, the purpose of humanity, the purpose of the human is to become aware of itself. It's to embody this awareness, embody the consciousness, become conscious of yourself, become aware of yourself. That's the primary overall purpose of this human race. But when we begin to understand the things that have happened through history in that process, we're kind of moving through kind of a sluggish, muddy heaviness that we're leaving behind. And the process of opening your eyes and recognizing those patterns that we've kind of been cycling through for many generations is something that makes a lot of humans feel alone, separate. We feel isolated from groups because we are basically through these changes kind of destroying an old construct of belief system, an old construct of being, construct of relating with one another, of existing, of the work that we do on the planet Earth just merely to live, to survive. And so this whole idea that we are kind of feeding into through our everyday actions is changing everything. So, this process, the more that you sit with yourself, the more that you connect with your emotional body, and you are aware of yourself, this is where you begin to recognize these limitations within yourself. And these are things that we can move through with our own self-compassion and self-love. This is the cultivation. Now, through history, there are many systems that have been designed in order to slow down this process of consciousness. And when we are asleep, when we're disconnected from ourselves, essentially, we go into the externalization of our life force. And that looks like consumerism, that looks like externalizing our power, essentially becoming parasitic, coming into this centrifugal state of energy cultivation that depletes the energy in the body, from which illnesses, sickness, disease, both mental, emotional, and spiritual emerge. And so we just incrementally become more and more separate from our source, from our higher self. And the invitation is to return back to that reconnection in a very powerful way, and to repair all of the inversions of nature that we see within our society, because the societal structure is kind of built around inverting nature in such a way that uh, we are in survival. Essentially, we believe very strongly that we need to be in a state of survival rather than the innate state of this consciousness that is connected to all these natural systems in order to co-create in a way that is balanced and harmonious. So these are the things that we're kind of moving out of. We're moving out of this inharmonious state into a state of harmony. And this process, and what I want to talk about today, is that it's not just emotional, psychological. We are working with our DNA. Really, the DNA as kind of the blueprint that holds all of the Earth's beings, of many animal kingdoms, many kingdoms of life, including the human race. We are interconnected by this web of consciousness. And so, as we bring these higher states of awareness into the body, as we allow more source energy to move through our body, we're actually anchoring that into the genetic pool. Now, many kinds of manipulations have been done to the DNA and are currently occurring with the food that we're eating. It is occurring with our emotional states. And of course, the most powerful is the inversion of these natural states that cause a tremendous state of confusion and separation from what we really are. And this state of being, this belief system that we've inherited for many generations, affects the DNA in that we are inheriting trauma. We are creating trauma for this human vessel that is experiencing the life. And we repeat that trauma. We repeat that trauma in our lives, in every moment, in our interactions, and we keep repeating that ancestrally through the generations. So the invitation is that in order to create harmony in our lives, that we become aware of the patterns that we're repeating and end them so that we can no longer repeat them. This process is not just something that helps us heal our body and help us become more sovereign in the mastery of our co-creation, but it allows the human body to heal, to come into its highest optimum operative state. And when we come into coherence with the planet Earth, we open up these many sensory systems to begin to access higher knowledge, higher wisdom through the Akashic records. So the human body, this multidimensional system, becomes blocked from these systems, as we've talked about. And that process is something that opens up in the DNA. It's the activation of DNA. When we begin to replace those belief systems with something else, the activation of the DNA is essentially that alchemical process of transmuting a lower thought form into a higher thought form in the body, which is frequency, which is energy, which is light, and the way light moves through the body. So the more that we clean up into a harmonious state of psychological, emotional, biochemical processes in the body, the human actually can begin to come into a homeostasis, and then in harmony with the planet Earth, and then in harmony with the solar system, and then the universe. And this is where the human starts to really grow their light body. Coming into harmony with larger systems is the expansion of our light body. And when we open up the pathways of this blocked information in the body, we can channel basically all information, all history is available through our body. The more that we purify and clear our mind from the matrix construct, essentially, and all of these external stimulations of a false construct of self, this is where we can have a more pure, broader perspective that is available to us through the Akashic records. Now, there are many layers to accessing information, and all information is valid because it's all part of your own evolutionary experience and the refining of your perception. But through the levels of accessing information, we have many filters. So tapping into intuition is really a refinement process. At first, our intuition is going to be kind of mostly connected to survival mechanisms, right? We're kind of orienting ourselves in our environment, in our time and space, beginning to understand who we are, how we have feelings, how we are triggered into emotions. And until we really understand that, we have very strong filters, usually rooted in the emotional body, because we have very little mastery over our emotional body. Most of us are driven by unconsciously by our emotions, because the emotions are how we stay in survival. This is how we kind of navigate. And for us, it's a language for how we should respond in moments of survival, right? And for us, survival is interactions, danger, life-threatening situations. Um, and we incorporate that into every aspect of our life. This is a very specific state of consciousness. It's a very specific creator state, in a state of separation. But the person that is operating from this place, their intuition is going to be limited to kind of that survival filter of perception of reality still. Okay, so even though you tune in to aspects of interdimensional beings, higher states of beings, there's a very strong filter that makes you see things still as separate. Okay, so the next step is that you kind of begin to work with your emotions, come back into a grounded state of neutrality. Okay, that's why neutrality, the 0 point, is really the highest access point to allow you to come into the highest level of intuition. Because anything underneath neutrality is going to be tainted. It's going to be infused by those emotional states, those fears, those filters that even ourselves we are not aware of. And there's no right or wrong in any of these states of consciousness. I share them with you so that you can become aware and you can recognize where you're at and take a look at your life experiences, because I find that this is one of the main reasons why people have a hard time trusting their intuition. Sometimes they listen to the intuition from a certain perception, and then they find themselves in traumatizing experiences, and they say, I failed, I didn't listen to my intuition, or I listened to part of it, and then it got me into these states of suffering. So first of all, we need to understand that every life experience is valuable. It's very valuable. There's nothing that happens in the life that is not meant and designed for the evolution of your soul. And the more we understand that, it really requires a certain level of maturity to understand that, because and this is what the entire human race is going through. But when we are kind of in this state of survival and in mindset of separation, we automatically want to fall into victim mindset, right? Me and the other, and how I'm being attacked by the other, abused by the other, and then we create an entire construct of our personality based on this victim mindset. And these are they're very sticky ways to exist and to change, because our entire nervous system has become wired to be in that survival state of being. our entire biochemical system is programmed to produce the chemicals that will allow us to feel that we are safe in environments. And this is actually the depletion of our life force, because we are overworking the system of our body, this biochemical, bioelectrical system. Well, biochemical, we're overworking. Bioelectrical, we didn't even use it. We're not even using it, right? Because the bioelectricity, the conductivity of your body, actually becomes more powerful the more you come into the neutral state, the more you learn to regulate your nervous system, the more you learn to have more homeostasis in the physical body. That's actually where you are beginning to create harmony in the body. And that begins in the 0 point. Okay, so our life experiences, if we can begin to see them in a more compassionate manner, that it's not black and white, but rather a way of learning. It's a continuous learning and exploring of human experiences of yourself, really, to learn about yourself, learn where you are still in survival, where you still believe in separation. It can be in your sense of self-worth. It can be in the sense of empowerment. It can be in the sense of your ability to love, ability to receive love. All of these states of consciousness have dualistic nature to them. And we are learning in our entire life how to balance those two dualistic aspects of each part of yourself. You have 7 chakras, which allow you to understand the entire spectrum of human potential, human experience, and you are learning how to balance through. Each of your chakras is processing life experiences in a way that allows you to learn from those imbalances. So there really is no experience that is not designed and meant for your evolution. There's no waste of time. There's no I fell back, or I fell back asleep and I'm completely unconscious. In fact, remember that everything is moving in a very cyclical manner, and that we are going to be going through densities of those understandings, those states of consciousness. And then we're going to go into higher octaves every time. But usually it will get very dim before it starts getting up to a higher octave every time. So if we can, the more we come into harmony with nature, the more these are kind of pretty obvious to us. It becomes obvious to us, these kinds of cycles. But the more you're separate, the more we come into victim mindset, and you don't recognize, you're not able to recognize these. We just come into victimization and separation, and we just want to separate, and we want everything to just satiate the feeling body. We want comfort. We want to feel cozy and safe without really having a deep understanding of what safety is. In reality, safety is the ability to be in constant change, in a state of unconditional self-love for yourself and whatever is happening in your life experience. And that love that I'm talking about is not the emotional, like, oh, I love you, and I feel certain affection for that other thing. It's a state of neutrality that allows everything to exist in its natural state, from a place of very grounded, connected self-awareness, that allows free will to emerge. It's letting go of the need to control, to manipulate, to change anything in order to force yourself to be in a certain emotional state. Because anytime that we try to stick to one emotional state, whether that's joy or happiness, we are limiting ourselves, and we're also in a state of control. We're controlling our environment, or controlling others to perceive us as high vibration or happy all the time or good all the time. Or we try to control or suppress our negative emotions in order to have this perception. But you cannot you cannot play with yourself. You cannot kid or hide from your true authentic expression. And life will very clearly create experiences to allow those to come out, and to manifest into the physical experience for you to experience them and grow from them. That's the whole joy. It is a joy. Once you see those things as a joy, it's almost as if you are loving the concept of growing and expanding. Now, the other element that I want to mention that I have been really shown is as we move into this multidimensional change, my job in the next year is to really work with as many people as possible to help you in alchemizing the limiting belief systems, in learning how to regulate the nervous system so that you can develop higher octave capacity from a place that is empowered, not a place that is fearful or confused. We must cultivate discernment. Discernment is going to be one of the foundational keys of the capacity and the ability to navigate the future changes in this world in a way that is harmonious. And from now until 2027, which is the most important window of transformation for the earth, um, this is the invitation that we go back inside very deeply, and cultivate and clear up those confusions within ourselves about who we are, not as a definition, but as a whole. Okay. Um, it's actually the discarding of definitions of what you are in order to become all and nothing in your way of how you hold energy in this world. That process of anchoring this infinite potential to your body is the activation of DNA. The activation of DNA is something that is happening innately to every human organism on this planet, but we can access that activation for those of you that are awake earlier with the work that you're doing in a conscious state. And the reason for that is because those of you that are already here and that you are already doing the work, you're kind of the way showers, and that's not just it's not just just a spiritual concept. You really are, because the more you clean up these belief systems, you are kind of embodying the new human. And the new human is the activation of DNA, which is also the activation of the higher octave of consciousness on this planet that affects the entire whole. And so, very few people are focusing their time on doing this kind of work right now. And the more, and we are sustaining a kind of balance on this planet Earth. But the more humans that choose to be aware of themselves and to come into this harmonious understanding, um, we are selecting collective timelines. And it's very important that we understand timeline selection as a collective, especially now, because this will define the future for humanity. As I mentioned many times, there are two timeline potentials in the human uh, lineage. One of them is going towards transhumanism, the other is going towards uh, expanded consciousness and co creation on the etheric level. So, technologies like telepathy, instant manifestation, self healing, self regenerative systems are going to be absolutely necessary for our survival, our basic core survival in the future. Okay, so by 2027, the amount of changes that are going to happen is that the human is going to be found questioning everything that they've worked for all their lives, and perhaps feeling the futility of it because of how quickly the world around us is changing with the implementation of AI, with the implementation of robotics in our world. The human purpose has to change. We need to wake up from the constant construct of slavery and the depletion of your creativity into consumerism and basically working like a robot. Okay, so we were trained to become robots. We already fell into the cycle of transhumanism as it is now, because we are asleep. We fell asleep. We fell asleep through this, entire time. Few people have woken up in these past couple centuries in order to know that the connection to the divine is actually the truth. We fell asleep. We fell asleep in regards to our connection to the entertainment industry, into politics, into how we are creating and existing in harmony with nature. The overconsumption on this planet is, destroying this planet. And everything that is happening on the planet Earth is showing us how we have fallen asleep and how we have become the robots of survival for a system. So illness and how illness has become so rampant and how we've become completely dependent on pharmaceutical industries, all of these things are showing us how we have fallen into this kind of transhumanist system already. And our DNA, if you look at the etheric system of DNA, has become destroyed to the point where we're inheriting illness and illness and illness, and our babies are being born with illnesses, more severe illnesses every generation. Okay, so there's a lot that we need to wake up to. And the next couple years are going to force us into that awakening because um, because change has to be anchored into the planet. Okay. And I pause before I say that because um, what I'm sharing with you is not to create any fear. It really is just an understanding of potential that is available for humanity. And for you to understand the incredible amount of beauty and power that you have as a human. This is the direction in which we want to go to. Empowerment. Everything that I am sharing with you are things that you already see and you already know, you already intimate in the world around you. But how do we alchemize this now into anchoring this new way of being that is really, truly the real human that is emerging? Right now, it's not a new human, it is the real human that is emerging because of all the indoctrination that we've fallen into during this time. We are operating at merely maybe 3% of our potential. Okay, that's the level of our potential that we're operating at as a human race right now, because we have become addicted to comfort, escape, fear. Okay, we are driven by fear. In fact, every time that I listen to a lot of spiritual, you know, topics, it's driven by fear, you know. And so I really want to never go in that direction because that is part of this indoctrination. It's part of sleeping. Anything that motivates you to do things from a state of fear is a manipulation. So, but in the process of awakening, we have to cultivate the 0 point in order to be able to sustain neutrality despite all the things that we see, the truth, as best as we can. Okay, so there's no. I talk about 2027 in a sense that the world is going to change because that's what's happening, and it's happening very quickly. And so we have to change our daily habits. Okay, so no more necessarily, be conscious, be loving towards yourself in regards to the actions that you're taking in uh, you know prepare everything from preparing your food to taking a shower, to working, to whatever work you are doing at this time. Are you connected to your higher self, and is your higher self participating in that constant movement and discernment of energy? You are moving life force through your body. That is creation. You are creating every moment of your day from the moment you go to sleep in dream state. You're navigating many dimensions and you're co-creating in those dimensions, also based on the limitations of your vibrational frequency in this body right now and the potential that you have accessed. Okay. But when you wake up and you come into this physical construct, everything that you are infusing into this world through, especially your emotional body, is connecting to the collective. We are not separate from anything. And I think that part of coming into fear and the manipulation of fear is that being separate, it seems so easy, right? It's like me and the other, and then I don't have to take responsibility for how my actions affect truly the other. We don't want to see it, right? But in reality, all of our actions are affecting the collective because we're connected by a web of consciousness. This membrane to the morphogenetic field of consciousness that interconnects us to our civilization, to all the natural kingdoms, everything that emerges from our genetics, from the blueprint of our DNA, all the life that is emerging from there, we are interconnected to. And every action that we take is affecting all of these systems. So to embody, to be human truly is to really recognize that. And that is where we start to really take accountability for how we are living, how we're existing, and what we're doing. And so from now until 2027, the invitation is that we refine that process and really become a conscious co-creator, conscious liver, conscious existence, every moment of your existence. Okay. So in order to do that, step number one, we come into meditation, right? Meditation should be a daily practice of minimum of an hour a day. And trust me, if you don't have that time now, you will in the future because of how things are going to change. So my invitation is that you find the time to make that work internally, because what you will need for the future is your intuition. And those of you that are disconnected from your intuition are going to be disconnected from proper discernment. There's going to be so many options in this world that are coming very quickly on pharmaceutical solutions that are based in gene modification, even everything from the beauty industry to the health industry. Everything is going to change in that it's going to be very quick. The solution is going to seem very easy, very quick, very instantly available to us. And I just want to remind you that we're going through kind of a guinea pig phase, for those that don't know how to honor their body, to honor their natural system of regenerations, and to learn how to cultivate our natural systems of healing. So many people are going to run towards these things, become the guinea pigs of these things. And in probably 10, even quicker than that, probably 5 years from now, we're going to start to see the effects of these technologies that are coming out. And we will learn, the lesson will be that we will learn how they will affect DNA. And DNA is not something that is isolated system of information. It is connected to the entire gene pool. Every single human is interconnected by that. So every time you edit something, it creates kind of a chain reaction to many systems. So we need to be aware of that interconnectivity. And the other part is that with all of the kind of silent eugenic systems that are happening, right? Because what is valuable in the human race is your DNA. Your DNA, the more that you activate that, this vessel becomes the system of navigation that is interdimensional. It's through your body that you have access to advanced civilizations, simultaneous lifetimes in which you are remembering your potential, your healing abilities, your memory of how you're interconnected to your community, to your family, to society, to your ability, your powers that your gifts that you can channel through your body, to help humanity essentially ascend into another layer. All those things are available to you as you uncover these layers. But in order to access this understanding, we need to first be able to be comfortable in this physical body. So that cultivation of the 0 point, that cultivation of the non-judgmental observer, is really the one that will be able to select through this information and productively implement it into the earth. This process and in the etheric realm is the anchoring of source through your body into the earth. And so many of you are going to learn how to expand your light body and bring higher bands of this source energy through the body into the earth. And what happens is that we are repairing the damage that has been done collectively in the DNA. Okay. So right now we think that there hasn't been a lot of damage yet because of the technology hasn't been implemented, but there has. All of the indoctrination that we've been falling asleep to up until this time has already created contraction in the DNA. It's created new illnesses that we haven't had, centuries before. And more importantly, our multidimensional vision has become blocked. Okay. So that is the most important aspect of our human of being human, is that you understand that you're multidimensional and that you cultivate that vision. That vision has become disabled. We're barely remembering that we're multidimensional right now. We see a UFO and we're just surprised by this, but in reality we should be able to be constantly in communication with the plant systems of energy, animal kingdoms. We are constantly surrounded by entities and energies, and our stillness should be so still, so grounded in this physical body, that we can have these interactions with these natural systems. That is to be in harmony with nature. That is to be in harmony in the physical body. So we the whole purpose of this is not so we can have cool interactions with our environment. The purpose is that your body, when you come into stillness, you can see truth. You learn to discern the patterns of inversions of nature. And you need that in order to be able to discern global changes that are happening right now in the world. So the world will infuse in you ideas of disclosure, ideas of wars, ideas of that we need to hate each other, that we need to be separate, that we need to judge the other people for thinking certain things, being certain things. And those are all inversions of nature, of natural order. So when you open your vision and you start to see yourself as one, as this being of light interconnecting with light around you, you just simply cannot hold that state of separation within you. And the more that humanity begins to come into these states of harmony within themselves first, and then the collective, we are going to very adamantly, clearly know that anything in the direction of the destruction and manipulation of what is natural order can no longer exist as we move forward. Because, we're going into self-destructive cycles now. And so many people are going to be leaving this construct because they won't be able to attune to that transition point. Okay. And when we hold a lot of illness, a lot of pain and suffering, when we've spent an entire life of suppressing our emotions, our truth, when we have a very difficult relationship with truth, when we don't want to see truth, when we don't feel comfortable seeing truth, the kind of disassociation that is caused within the body and within this construct is pretty severe. So a lot of people are struggling with that. We are struggling with truth, and we're struggling with holding space for truths that we don't want to accept, or that we find appalling, or that we feel are unacceptable, or we just don't know how to handle it. Okay, so this is the resilience that we are learning to cultivate biochemically through the emotional body. This is the spiritual maturity that is needed from the human to wake up consciousness, because we're already halfway in the direction of the transhumanist society. We are already externalized our power to everything: political systems, religion, validation from other people. Simply that. How much of our life is grounded in being defined or having definitions. All of these are an inversion of nature. So we kind of have to course correct, in a way, the direction in which we're going, because these cyclical patterns of self-destruction, of dishonoring of the divinity of yourself as all and nothing simultaneously, will cause suffering and challenging in these changes. And we are also practicing our detachment from these systems, from our own self-created constructs. That's really what it comes down to. We detach, learn to detach from the construct that you've created about yourself up until now. Because every belief system that you've created about yourself, always going to have a limitation, and it's always going to have it's a very limiting state of being. Okay, so we want to kind of work, and so the other part that I want to mention is that with this eugenics system that's been happening, see, when you alter a human race into believing that they are in constant states of survival, you are manipulating their biochemical system. You are manipulating their emotional system by triggering very specific emotions in their body, very scientifically, biologically, psychologically targeting specific emotions in the body. So the human race is in a constant dream world of survival. We are in a dream world of fear. We fear everything, especially ourselves. That is the genetic modification that has been done to our DNA. And that has produced illnesses. It's produced spiritual illnesses. For example, the disconnect from the higher mind. It's created psychopathy, narcissism, um, everything from schizophrenia to this inability to master our multidimensionality and integrate it into the physical vessel. Okay, so those are extreme cases, but they have become more because we have been told that our truth is not something that is in harmony. Okay, so those kinds of psychological diseases that are now rampant in the world are a product of this manipulation, and it is directly affecting the DNA. So our children that are now growing obese, unbelievable. Every single child that I see, unfortunately, especially in America, these babies are just obese as children. Okay, and so that's not a random thing. We have to really open our eyes to understand what has been happening that has now caused for our human race. It's not about what country you're born in, the color of your skin. None of that matters, because all of this, well, it plays a role in how information has been distributed on the planet, but I'm not going to talk about that too much here now. But certain bloodlines on this planet, particularly, have been really targeted stronger and stronger. But it's a collective system that we have all fallen into. And we are inheriting, when we start inheriting trauma, trauma after trauma and trauma, um, as a result of wars and illness and psychological abuse and manipulation for generations and generations, our DNA is becoming dormant, which means that the more of our multidimensional aspects become severed. So that's what's happened. In the ancient times, ancient civilizations, we were deeply connected to the natural world. We were deeply connected to our star brothers and sisters. We can communicate with them, we can connect with them. Okay. And so there was longevity. People lived beyond 100 years and so on. And, there are many advanced civilizations that we are now in communication with that are also sharing that remembering. They're reminding us of the potential of this vessel in this construct. So as we move through this very dualistic concept of humanity, that it is part of this human experience, but we also have to be very aware of how we have fallen asleep into the indoctrination of that and how it's affected us in our everyday lives in order to begin to change that. And the invitation is that the emergence of the true human, it's not like we're transitioning into a world where everything is going to be perfect. I hear that a lot. No, you are going to be able to be resilient despite anything that happens. That is the embodiment of source. That is the bliss state that you create in your body, through your nervous system, through your understanding, your spiritual maturity, psychological maturity of your own limitations, your deep, profound, authentic connection to yourself, and the expression that emerges from there, and the understanding of the divinity. Okay, so you become like a god, a creator that is truly creating in this world, and you begin to see yourself as divine. What you speak, what you say, what you do now changes the heaviness, the weight of your actions, because you understand how it ripples effect in this system. And so, whatever we're doing to fall asleep and to continue to come into this self destructive behavior, these are things that we are invited to change and transform. How we are changing the timelines of transhumanism on this planet Earth through this dormant, through this eugenics program that has caused humanity to fall asleep, is by anchoring source into our DNA, the activation of your DNA. The activation of DNA is the recovering of your memory. It's the embodiment of becoming highly conductive, which means that you are learning how to alchemize in profound awareness, presence, through your authenticity. You are alchemizing blocked states of consciousness into expansive states of consciousness. You are moving through and allowing yourself to be free in your creative potential. Understanding freedom in how you're exchanging life force in a way that is compassionate with yourself and others, and that you take responsibility for your creations and your exchanges. This is the emergence of the actual true being of co-creation that you are. And everything that you're doing in your life in order to sustain that awareness, that integrity with your core values. So we share in common these universal laws of harmony that are our core values. And when we align with nature, our values become one, that we exist in harmony. And that harmony is embodied internally, psychologically, mentally, and in the physical realm, right? The integration of the lower, the middle, the upper dantian is that yin and yang that comes into balance in the body. From here, the creative potential in that high conductivity is now coming into manifestation mode, where you can anchor the things that you want to bring into this world. And that state of being is truly a bliss state. It is a bliss state that humanity has not really known. The closest we've come to that is in an orgasm, an orgasmic state. And that is by design. We crave that orgasmic state because that is the closest thing to the divine, to the embodiment of the divine, which is where this the illusion of separation is temporary gone, right? The illusion of separation is gone, and you become one with everything. So basically, we are moving from this lust into pure unconditional love. We're moving from fear into harmony, into separation, into unity. And we're kind of doing this on many different levels. So the invitation I have for you this week is to wake up consciousness by coming into the present moment and becoming aware of yourself and your actions. What are you doing in this present moment? Are you awake? Are you sleeping? Are you in survival? And how can you interrupt these survival mechanisms that we've programmed within our nervous system, within the biochemical system. A level of awareness and a level of observation of yourself where you can lovingly begin to shift from those survival states into a state of actual creation, where you are in harmony and you allow yourself to create. So that state of creation emerges from a place of play. Okay, one of the themes of this week that I discovered through these themes that come up, every single one of my clients this week resulted in a realization that in order to embody a more joyful creation, more congruent creation, is to come back into a state of play, to come back to that childlike state of innocence. The majority of our suffering, we have so much shame, so much guilt, so much pain that we hold inside the body that limits and constricts our creativity. And when we look at our ancestral lineage, we've been repeating this for generations. Which of our family members in our bloodline have embodied a bliss state of creation? Truly. How many do you know? So really, what is emerging is the human, the real human, that is not asleep in this construct that we've adopted as truth, but rather that childlike state of innocence that is in this state of joyful co-creation, because they're not afraid. They're not paralyzed by fear. They fear nothing because they know they are energy. We are light. We are energy. And the more we produce this conductivity in a state of fluid co-creation and exchange with the world, that we exchange through a place of authenticity, of our truth. You can't lie to yourself in this movement of energy. You can't resist life in this exchange of authenticity. You cannot lie to yourself, and you cannot suppress your true emotions. Every emotion is valuable. We're not eliminating an entire spectrum of emotions from the human race. We are learning to exchange openly and feel truly those emotions, to allow the information, use them for what they are for. Emotions are information that allow us to discern, but we've severed the discernment element of humanity. We've numbed the higher faculties. How many humans are highly intuitive? We hear a psychic and we go pay $300 to go watch them be psychic in a room of non-psychic people, supposedly. And we're fascinated by that. How have we gotten to this point? That is the basic way of being human. Every single human has psychic abilities that must be developed. Why? Because in your psychic capacity is your expansion, your activation of DNA, your ability to anchor source through your body, your ability to heal your body. It's through the psychic capacity that you can remove pain from your body, eliminate illness, heal, speak to your cells, communicate, regenerate, nourish the body. So this is basic foundational things that we have been dormant to. And we have become like robots. The film Groundhog Day was so famous because we resonate so much with that. How sad that, and I remember when I used to work in the corporate world, that my soul was dying, that every day I had to get up, go to work, and do this thing. Okay, so a lot of you have already been working to kind of break that in your lineages. The world is healing. And now we have technologies that have come into this world that have been allowed to emerge in this timeline, like artificial intelligence. It's freely open. People can learn how to use this, and we need to learn how to use that for good. Okay, use it to support you. this use of artificial intelligence and integration of artificial intelligence in every person's life is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's not that we want to get away from that. Rather, we want to learn how to use that to create the new world away from these parasitic systems. A lot of people are going to use fear to kind of separate themselves from that, and that will be a mistake. Okay, now it's up to you. Not everyone has to use that. I'm telling you, what I see is those of you that feel called and feel like you want to do something in this world and you need support, these systems can help now in ways that we had never been having help before. Okay, and it's not going to be so available as it is during these next 3 years in the future because of its potential. So, so in other words, the thing is that we have to wake up consciousness and see this and understand the opportunities that are available to you now. And we're really only going to know how to use these tools that are available to us in the world when we come into that 0 point and understand, how you can be of service to humanity. So the activation of your higher faculties is really the ability to tap in to this field of infinite amounts of information. And your connection to your organic technology is never going to be less. It's far surpassing artificial intelligence and these kinds of technologies. So, in other words, artificial technology and these robotics will never reach the capacity that human has. And that's where our value is. Okay, so side note on that artificial intelligence, but the most important thing is that we cultivate our own higher faculties. Okay, because what I see in the future is that after this split, depending on how we're, as I mentioned, we're already going through this, but as we progress, it's going to become wider, that separation. Okay, and that separation essentially, it's gonna really show the difference between humans that have intuitive capacity and those that don't. Since the beginning of time, people with activated higher faculties have always been targeted by many systems since the beginning of time. But this is going to it's going to kind of grow in a future. Okay, so those that have multidimensional capacity are going to be very valuable and important for this human race because they will be kind of they once we truly begin to understand what DNA is in the future, holographic DNA, and the interconnection between the morphogenetic field. Those of you that have activated DNA, you will be a very valuable source library, as you are now, right? Those of you that are activated, such as hybridization programs and things like that, right? So those are always the targeted ones for those programs. So yeah, so I'll leave it there, but essentially this week, I really would love to invite you to kind of come into yourself and observe yourself and ask yourself the question, how are you repeating the same limiting belief systems of your ancestral lineage? And how has that stalled your creative potential in your bloodline? I really want you to begin to expand your mind. It's not just about you in the identity. It's not just about the identity of you. It's not just about the personality of you. You are your entire ancestral lineage. And actually, most of your everyday actions, even the careers you've chosen, even the partners you've chosen, are a result of your ancestors' choices. Most of us don't realize that. But when you start peeling the layers of your trauma and your limitations, it's very clear. And so I want you to become aware this week. How are you repeating that? And what do you need in order to embody and come back to a childlike state of innocence? That's a whole nother topic. The disruption and the inversion of innocence is one of the biggest manipulation tactics of this earth, because it's the manipulation of our sexual energy, which is the most powerful, potent, creative potential in the body. And psychologically, emotionally, we are very manipulated by sexuality, by sex, because we have been basically taught that it's just a pleasure-seeking activity and for procreation. And that is extremely far from what it really is. So if we would understand that, we would understand our divinity. Okay, so our primordial life force energy, when transmuted from this waste of energy into spiritual life force, we can heal the body, regenerate, create longevity. It's the fountain of youth, it's the fountain of healing, it's the intuitive, and it's an interportal, interdimensional tool. So the human obviously cannot be controlled in those states of empowerment. So the invitation really is that you begin to notice, how do I come back to this place of innocence? Look inside of you into your programming around all of these areas, your emotions, your choices, your discernment, your how you feel about sex, your fears, your limitations, your fear of intimacy, fear of exchange, fear of receiving real love and feeling real love towards another human, not just the romantic partner, just another human, right? We've built walls, and systematically that's been deepened into the subconscious mind of the collective for a reason. So we have to deconstruct and break away from those belief systems in us. That is the activation of your DNA. That right there is the activation of your DNA. So if we can begin to kind of look at those aspects of ourselves, you will see a lot of change in yourself, in your life, and in the way that you're holding space in the world. Let's get into the meditation. Go ahead and ground yourself. Come back into your body. Go ahead and allow yourself to breathe deeply, be in the present moment. I'll take answers at the end. Notice any part of you that is resisting coming into the present moment. Let's go ahead and anchor ourselves down to the center of the earth. With every breath you take, feel your grounding cord connecting from your body down to the center of the earth. Allow yourself to feel the earth through your body. So get really still enough to tune in. Quiet your mind so that you can observe your hearing, observe your feeling, observe your sensing. And you're going to begin to notice the contraction of your muscles in your body. And you're going to release all the muscles that are contracted in the body. Bring awareness. Release the muscle tension in the face. the chest, the back, the hips, the legs, the feet, the arms. Come into the observer, into the 0 point. Go ahead and visualize a bubble around your body made out of something completely impenetrable. Seal your bubble around your body completely. You should be able to see top, bottom, front to back, side to side. Own your space. You can control everything inside of this bubble. Everything outside of you, we cannot control. Let's go ahead and focus on the root chakra at the base of the spine. Go ahead and shrink that chakra down to the size of a dime. Notice the health of your root chakra. Is it more open or closed in the front, back? Take a look. How is it doing? Is the energy moving beautifully through the root chakra, or is it blocked? Is it contracted? Can you not imagine this part of the chakra? Your imagination is the tool to see actual truth, to see the construct and to see beyond the construct. Go ahead and go up into your sacral, shrink the sacral down to the size of a dime. Go up into the solar, shrink the solar down to the size of a dime. Your chakras can also be overactive. So if you notice that your chakra is overactive, you'll feel a lot of exhaustive energy, draining energy. It's because your life force is leaking through the chakras that are overactive. Okay, let's go ahead and go up into the heart. Expand your heart, front and back. Opening the center of coherence. Go up into your throat. Go ahead and expand your throat chakra, front and back. Opening the center of communication, of truth, harmony. Go ahead and go up into your third eye, expanding your third eye, front and back. Again, noticing where your chakras do not want to open. Front, back, side to side. And just gently helping the body expand in that direction. The expansion, awareness, and control of your energy system is the activation of DNA. You're going to go up into the crown, expand your crown chakra, front and back. Notice if you have been aware of your crown chakra or has it been dormant. Okay, so that right there is telling you if you're sleeping in hypnosis or if you're awake. If the crown is dormant and you didn't even know it was there, we are sleeping. We are in that path of becoming like just following cyclical patterns of repetition, like robots, basically. You can expand your crown chakra. You're not robots. I'm just using that as an example. Breathing deeply. Come back into your body. Focus on your energy field. Go ahead and bring from the center of the earth green earth energy coming up your feet, up your legs, up into your solar plexus, creating a vortex of energy at your center core. Go ahead and take a look at the quality of this energy. Is it moving fluidly around your core, or is it pretty sluggish? And you can only imagine the front or one side of this movement, one part of your body moving that energy. Make it fluid, make it move, make it rotate all around you fluidly. From source, go ahead and pull down gold, cosmic energy, down to the crown of your head, down your spine, combining with the green earth energy at your center core. Go ahead and take 10% of that back down to the center of the earth. Go ahead and take 80% of that up your spine from the crown of your head, coating the outside of your bubble. Go ahead and take that final 10% of green and gold energy, bring it inside of your bubble, absorbing into the pores, the flesh, the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level. Okay, we're going to clear our energy field. We're going to start at the front of the body, or the front of the bubble. You're going to clear from top to bottom, and you're going to work your way all around the entire field of your sphere, from front to back and back to front. Notice how you are immediately drawn to areas that are blocked. Your intuition is very powerful, and when you are in this state of stillness, because you are in reading state, you can very easily notice. You're just going to be gently taken to all the parts that need more attention. Be aware to bring yourself back into the observer state of the 0 point. There's no need to force anything. Everything that you're doing is with your mind and your intention. As soon as you think it, it's done instantly. So be sure to watch when your body starts to come into contraction and then tries to force or control anything. This vision is developed through the subtle energy body, which means that the more still and more relaxed you become, the easier it is, the more fluid your intuitive direction becomes in your body. Releasing any kind of tension that you have in your body. You'll notice that the more relaxed your muscle system is, the easier it is to visualize. The more relaxed you become, you'll experience a feeling, a sensation like a void. And it's from that void that you can manifest anything. The more relaxed you are, you can manifest a remote viewing, you can connect with your guides, you can heal your body, and you can tap into information that you need in this state. Okay, I want you to begin to observe the emotion that you experienced the most over the past 24 hours. Go ahead and bring that emotion into your body. Go ahead and allow yourself to be absolutely present with this emotion. I want you to allow yourself to feel everything that comes up as you observe this emotion in your body. And you can name it out. Go ahead and select the strongest from the list that you've created. And once again, you're going to sit with that emotion, observe that emotion in your body. Notice what parts of your body contract when you feel this emotion. Every part of your body, every side of your body is giving you information. Just pay attention. Feel into the information. Feel into the sensations in order to extract information. The information is not something that you are forcing, they are insights that emerge as you relax fully into those physical sensations. And you constantly move through the sensations that you feel without applying meaning or attaching to them. You can quickly move between feeling and extracting the information that emerges. Go ahead and select the strongest of these emotions, and you're going to just notice how familiar you are with the emotion that you've identified here. And you're going to go ahead and take yourself back to the very first time that you felt that emotion. It can be as far as the womb or as recent. But I want you to take yourself back to the very first time in your life that you've recognized this emotion. Take yourself there. And just go ahead and observe the depth of that emotion in your body. I want you to notice how many scenarios you can begin to pull from the memory body. You're pulling it from the muscle, nervous system, and memory of the morphogenetic field. Notice how many memories you can remember connecting to this emotion. They will just emerge. I want you to notice what is the repetitive pattern in all these memories that come up. What are we repeating? Allow yourself to try to be as concise as possible with your observations. Whatever uncomfortable emotion emerges from these observations, let yourself feel it. Do not resist, do not suppress. Do not try to avoid it. Let yourself feel fully the uncomfortable emotions that come up. And you will be pulling and extracting insights from that naturally. They'll just emerge effortlessly. Every time you lose your train of thought, just come back into the feeling body to feel the emotion again, and just continuously observe that emotion. It will give you all the information that you need. Through the feeling bodies, this feeling will let you know what it's missing. You're going to ask yourself, what is it that you need in order to no longer repeat this emotional pattern, this belief system? Look and see what is it that you need in order to no longer repeat this pattern. Notice any resistance to what you need. And in that resistance, your body will tell you exactly what you need to release the resistance. Okay, go ahead and notice now you should have already received what it is that you need. You should be able to identify that. Go ahead and fill your body with the feeling of what you need. So let's say that the answer is to allow yourself to be authentic, for example, or allow yourself to not fear, or whatever it is that's coming up. I want you to sit with that feeling in your body. You've already identified it. So we're going to become familiar. This is part of the programming part. As you allow yourself to feel that emotion in your body, notice what comes up. Go ahead and fill yourself up with exactly what you need. You're going to fill every cell of your body, and the body will begin to relax even more. You're going to begin to feel more expansive, more harmonious. And if you're able to identify exactly what you need, go ahead and notice that feeling in your body. And if it were a color, what color would it be? If this state of being were a color, let's say that the answer is self-acceptance. What color would that be for you? Go ahead and fill your body with that color, fill your body with that feeling, that emotion of self-acceptance, or whatever it is that you have identified for you. And I just want you to observe how your body reacts to that. Everything is energy, so right now you're feeding information into your body. This is the alchemization process right now. If you feel an expansion, if you feel a more calm state, you are alchemizing the previous emotion. Not from a place of resistance, but from a place of actually feeling fully and understanding what you're feeling. So now you're going to reprogram every cell of your body, this new emotion. You're going to feel this emotion. You're basically creating a new filing cabinet, a new file inside the filing cabinet of memory to allow you to establish a new connection to this emotional state, replacing the old one. I want you to see all the fractals of yourself in your life that are continuously revealing this negative emotion, and you're going to fill them with this color. You're going to provide them with this new information that you've discovered. In this example of, self-acceptance, every single fractal of yourself feels self-acceptance, and just go ahead and notice how they respond. So for you, it could be love, it could be courage, it could be listening to yourself, connection to yourself, whatever it is. Every fractal of yourself is going to begin to change and transform as it feels this new state of being. Go ahead and fill your body here and now with that color. Be absolutely present with yourself here and now with this new understanding. You're going to see all your ancestors that have repeated this same pattern through many generations. Go ahead and provide them with exactly what they need in order to no longer feel that way, and repeat that program. Very good. Go ahead and inhale deeply, taking back your life force into your body and releasing everything that you took on that wasn't yours. Beautiful. Go ahead and open the root chakra at the base of the spine, the sacral, the solar, We're going to close the heart just a little bit, the throat just a little bit, the third eye just a little bit. I want you to see a room full of karmic contracts. You're going to shine your crown on top of those contracts and eliminate that room completely. You can imagine vacuuming it up, burning it up, just turning it into dust, whatever feels real to you. You're going to fill that room with your creative color from your crown, which is your highest vibrational frequency. If you don't know your color, you can work with me to find it. But if you know your color, just fill your crown or use your intuition to identify your color of your highest vibrational frequency of your higher self and fill it into your crown. As you illuminate your crown chakra, you're going to activate your 8th, activate your 9th, 10th, 11th chakra, 12th chakra, 13th chakra, 14th, 15th, 16th, filling each one of these chakras with your creative color as you merge your higher self with your higher octaved bodies. Go up into the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And above you is a powerful white light of source. Go ahead and bring that source down into the crown of your head, down your spine, into the perineum, down to the center of the earth. I want you to activate the chakras underneath your body. You're going to see a pillar of white light forming from the center point of your solar plexus to the very back of your body. And this pillar of light is going around the perimeter of the earth, maintaining you in an axis of light. And go ahead and open your eyes. You're going to see yourself grounded down to the center of the earth. You're going to see your field around your body, and you're going to see your source cord through the central core of your body. You guys did amazing. I want to thank you so much for working with me. It was a profound honor to share this space with you. And I really hope that you guys have an empowering week filled with clarity and harmony. So I'm gonna go into the chat, see if there's any questions. If you guys can put your questions in capital letters, that would be fantastic so I can see them. What is this? Oh. Wow, I think YouTube changed a lot of things. Now I don't understand some of these new features. I'll have to investigate them. Let's see. I'm looking to see Chris's questions here. As certain systems of the future demand compliance, examples, digital ideas, UBIs, etc., how do we remain sovereign without cutting ourselves off from the system entirely? How does the new human navigate this? Amazing, amazing question. So the thing is this, for some of these systems of control, we cannot really avoid them because in order to operate in the world realistically, travel, travel, taking flights, now they're asking for real ID. And that real ID is going to actually change into a genetic marker pretty soon with time. Going to the doctor is now going to be based on genetic sequencing of your whole DNA, where all your information is available there. Identification, as you mentioned. But in reality, all of this data has already been collected for the past 15, 20 years. Your biometrics have already been collected. If you knew how deep this information has been collected without our permission, without our knowledge for a very long time, we are already in the system. There's no really way to avoid that at this point. And that's again how these systems have used our dream state, our dormant state of disconnect, ignorance. You know, we would really have had to have been very connected to these technologies, watching where the money was going, watching these major corporations and how they move data around for the past 15 years in order to really understand how we got to where we are today. And that's something that some of us have been keeping a close eye on and then making decisions from that understanding. But for the majority of the human who has not been paying attention to that, they're unaware. They're completely unaware, right? Everything from 23andMe collecting your DNA to testing for viruses, to, well, the virus itself, um, to the collection of our biological data without our knowing in many different ways. Everything from sewage to water, the water that we use, has been utilized to study our biometrics, our consumer habits, things like that. Okay, so in other words, the system is what it is today because it's already collected all this information for a very long time. And there's at this point no really way to separate from that. The what I see is that even though they have this information, they still cannot control your intuitive faculties and your potential of your multidimensionality. And so it's it's fine. It's not fine, but it is what it is in them having this information. But we can use the information to, with our choice, right? We have to choose. The thing is that we always need to come back to having free will. We always have to come back to being able to choose and discern. Many people that are leaving the cities to live in places that are not so infiltrated with control systems. Unfortunately, um, certain countries are more targeted and used for these experimentations. All of these systems that I talked about that are kind of collecting data, we're targeting very specific communities through our society. Usually it's the larger, more populated, centralized areas that are very easily targeted for this kind of control systems. So the more we come back into nature, the more we kind of disconnect from these systems, the easier it will be to be sovereign in that way. But if you're a person that has to travel and do business and do, it's going to be very difficult. Okay. So as the world is changing from this very corporate world survival 9 to 5 job in order to pay bills model of survival into people being forced into discovering their creative potential, and whatever they discover that is in order to survive and to have a job, they can support that with these technologies that are available to us now. Learn how to use that. It's not just becoming ignorant to these technologies and blocking them out completely, but we can learn how to use them responsibly. We can learn how to use them to help us reach more people, get what we need done. A lot of things that we used to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get done now can be done in an instant with this technology. That's a major amount of power that we have available to us, but only a very small percentage is learning how to use them. And unfortunately, that small percentage are mostly the parasitic side of things. Okay, so we actually have to kind of step on the train of redirecting that power more into a balanced use of that power. And those of us that have the vision of bringing harmony into this planet, um, saving the earth from toxic chemicals, from pollution, from plastics, to begin to find solutions for those problems. Those that are going to be left without jobs, the invitation is that we begin to find solutions for the things and the harm that we have caused in a state of unconsciousness. We have to rectify this behavior. Over consumerism, destruction of nature, destruction of one another, our abuse on ourselves and others, those are all ways that we are healing the planet from the inside out. And so those that are utilizing the technology to help anchor, free energy, harmonious farming, that doesn't destroy the land. We don't need so much, food that is being thrown away every day, dumpsters and dumpsters and dumpsters of food, and then creating poverty in other parts of the world. We need to help the world solve poverty. This imbalanced economic systems have to change. So those of you are very well educated, you have amazing foundations and background to bring and use your resources to rectify the inharmony in this world. The invitation is to focus on that. And will we have to engage in these systems? To some point, yes. But the thing is that we do it on our terms, that we are choosing and discerning, that we redirect this darkness, alchemize the darkness into light through our actions as best as possible. So that's the invitation, because it's not to just block it off and be like, no, separate. That is going to be one of the biggest psyops to disempower people that actually can anchor light into this planet. And they will do that. They will intimidate a lot of people and say, oh, you don't know how to use this. This is not for you. That you guys don't have access. This is too expensive. You can't have access to this. They will try to do that. And then that's how they will gain, as always, more control over the societies, right? It's the intimidation. So again, notice yourself. Wherever you start to feel fear is your work. That's the invitation where we need to focus. And the alchemization of your fear is where you're going to open opportunity up for change, for healing, not only for yourself, but for humanity. And again, the discernment, the intuitive factor, we are being driven by the higher self, because our understanding of society up until now is as a product of a construct that is designed to continue cycles of limitation. So we have to break away from everything we know in order to pull from the infinite, a new way of being. And that requires you to get out of to quiet the monkey mind and integrate the higher self into the physical, to activate your intuitive faculties, to heal your body, to be operating at your most optimum state, psychologically, emotionally, mentally, physically. So if you have any of those areas out of balance, that is where your focus should be now until 2027. Then after that, we have to kind of get to work in the reconstruction of this earth. And it really is up to us that it happens. Okay? So I will say it there. If someone is verbally attacking me, provoking multiple lower form of emotions, how can I respond authentically? Well, yeah, so I would observe the trigger. So take a look at the trigger. What is being triggered in you? And then how much of that is something that you can control and change? Okay. So it's sometimes people trigger because they are, they are in pain, they are in suffering, they need something. The more still you become with yourself, and you can very quickly understand who are you, what are you, like what do you feel authentically, and then what does this other person feel, not pull from their emotions and then reflect back the same thing. That's unconscious behavior. Nobody's awake there. It's like the blind leading the blind. But if we wake up consciousness and observe a trigger, what's being triggered? Am I being triggered? Is a part of me being triggered? What part of me feels threatened? Where do I feel unsafe? Where am I coming into fear? Where do I feel helpless? And begin to address this immediately. Okay. And so as you begin to, fulfill your needs, you will be able to more quietly, calmly observe this person that is attacking, and kind of you will see through their suffering as well and your own suffering to see what's really being asked from that person. Okay. So hopefully that will help open up conversation to have a communication that is not from that place, that is a place that addresses the root. And the quicker you come into your authenticity, you see, this kind of work we should be doing like every day for an hour a day in the morning. We should be doing this meditative work, this discovery. This should be something we should be doing constantly so that we're not caught off guard. Because if you don't meditate and you don't do this work internally, and then all of a sudden you have someone attacking you, it's going to be hard for you to do all that work in 1 second, right? So your response is going to be to react. So the invitation is that you take a step back and take the time to understand your voice, the other person's voice in that stillness. And from there, you can create an experience with the person. What is it that you want to communicate? What is it that's being communicated to you? And try to open space for that communication if that is available. And, use your intuition and your discernment to navigate that in a way where we can get past the pain and suffering to the root of what's really being asked. This will also show you where you might be contracting parts of yourself. Where are you limiting your ability to exchange authentically, right? Okay. Nancy says, hello. Palawa healing activate DNA and consciousness? Will it heal the illness? Nancy, I don't know what Palawa healing is. So can you clarify that for me? Chrissy Feeling Wellness says, can you still change the generational trauma if you have no contact with your children? Yeah, absolutely. Our healing of generational trauma has nothing to do with them directly, right? Our parents, our children, has nothing to do with them. This is an internal work that we have to do ourselves. And when we do that healing in ourselves, we open up the pathways of source to move through our body, which will affect our environment. It'll, through our DNA, through the morphogenetic field, it will elevate the octave of your frequency, which will affect collectively your environment. It doesn't mean they're going to change overnight. We have to cut cords energetically, because every time we exchange with someone, we are holding a very specific pattern of frequency of information that we're throwing back at each other. So it's really important that we practice energetic hygiene all the time in order to neutralize what we are sharing and exchanging with everyone. Okay, so we should be cutting cords with everyone all the time in order to come back to neutrality, come back to neutrality, come back to neutrality. What that will do is it will hold space for people to have the opportunity to come into their authenticity, not the wounded, not the pain. And they also, because most arguments, as Charles was asking earlier, most arguments is because resonance, right? We are being attacked because there's a part of us that either feels victimized or a part of us that also is in attack mode. So every exchange is a resonance. Okay, so when we identify what is really that at the core of that resonance, that core belief system, and we shift it by neutralizing this, cutting cords, we are the conscious one. We wake up, and we are the one that is consciously realizing that we're throwing back unconscious emotions, and we can break that pattern by moving energy. Okay, so cutting the cords will neutralize what we're throwing back and forth, and it will open space for authenticity. It will allow you to come back to yourself and really check in. What is my, authentic self? What do I need in this moment? What am I trying to achieve and communicate? What am I asking for? And the other will have the opportunity to do that as well, because we will have provided that space energetically and emotionally. So we're working with our children, the third part is that we can work with contractual agreements. So in your meditation, you're going to shine your crown light on top of your child, and you're going to break those karmic contracts. Take a look at the contracts. If there's no contract, it means there's not really any more exchange that's necessary. Okay, there's not our best interest in that exchange. If it's a small contract, it means, our time in our exchange is already coming to an end. And sometimes it happens in families that we have contracts that are being eliminated, and sometimes they leave and they don't want to speak anymore, and that's okay. They need to live other life experiences. They finished their work with us. Sometimes this doesn't always happen, but in some cases it does. And if you see a huge contract, it means you have a lot of work together, a lot of learning to do with each other. Okay, so you're going to chip away at those contracts. All contracts have to be eliminated, basically. So we clear that contract. Again, it's going to open opportunity for this human to wake up from their dream state and choose consciously their life experience, how they want to behave. And every time I work with parents that are having these problems, the child calls them the next day, as soon as you cut cords. It's every single time there's communication opens up. Why? Because you cleared the energy. Everything is energy. So we have to learn how to work with these energetic contracts. Okay? What would using AI consciously look like? Can you give examples of how we can use it for the greater good of humanity? I think I gave a couple of examples. Is that enough? Let me know if that's enough. Let's see. Laura Light says, are abortions okay? How do we do it in a loving way for our body and the baby? Or is it better to have a baby you don't want? No, everything is free will. You have to choose, and based on the circumstance, see what is in alignment with you. Okay, so there's nothing that happens by accident. Neither the pregnancy nor the abortion happens by accident. So you have to connect to your higher self to discern. The thing is that when we are found in situations like these kinds of dilemmas, this is the law of accident waking us up, because somewhere along the line we've fell dormant to our creative potential. We fell asleep in what we were creating. Okay, so this is a wake-up call. And it's actually one of the most powerful wake-up calls, because to create a soul and to anchor a human into this world is a very big deal. Okay, you're anchoring an entire universe of consciousness into this dimension, into many dimensions, through the birth of a child. Okay, and so there's a major shift. That's like the true wizardry, where the true alchemy is the creation of life. So if we create life from a place of trauma, pain, suffering, unconsciousness, we somehow we are repeating generational trauma about creation. Okay, so how many generations did we have trauma around either women birthing life, birthing from abuse, birthing from pain, birthing from fear, sexual abuse? Okay, so we need to look at our ancestral lineage. What's the pattern that has been repeated over and over? And this will kind of begin to help you understand what is the most compassionate thing to do for yourself, for your bloodline, and for humanity. Okay? If bringing the child is anchoring more suffering, these are really complex things that you need to do some internal work. So I would really suggest, like, either doing some really deep meditative healing to understand what is happening there, because there's no ultimate yes or no answer to that. these are very these are wake-up calls, spiritual wake-up calls for us to understand what we've been doing with our creative energy if we are in a dilemma like that. Okay, so yeah, so every experience is a wake-up call. We just need to every painful suffering experience is an opportunity for us to wake up and to choose consciousness. Okay. All right, guys, thank you so much for your amazing questions. Let me jump in here, make sure I didn't miss any question. Oh, maybe I missed a question. Oh, here we go. Oh, lots of questions here. Sorry, guys. Margaret says, you said something about infusing our DNA with everything. This includes all high dimensional beings. So your DNA is already, have everything. Your DNA is already whole. It holds, it's the blueprint of the entire infinite potential. Okay, so in the DNA that is creating the human body is only 2% that is processing this body, and then the portals that we have accessible to the body are based on your alien DNA or interdimensional DNA. You know, those that data is already in your DNA. Okay, so what I mean by everything is that we anchor source. Okay, so in other words, the integration of your higher self with your physical, the integration of your lower, middle, and upper dantian, the healing of all of the traumas that are in your root, sacral, solar plexus chakras, that are the ones that have been helping you navigate the physical dimension for many generations in all your incarnations, as you work on integrating that. And that sounds like a lot of work, but really it's all coming down to the fact that our perception of harmonic order is inverted. That's really all it comes down to. All you're doing is learning how to come back into that harmonic order, from disorder back into harmony, from fear into love, you know, that kind of rebalancing. Because we are experts in fear and suffering and trauma and pain, but we are learning really love, unconditional unity, community, you know, unity, consciousness, peace, harmony. That's what we're learning right now. So we have to learn to balance those imbalances, those inharmonies within ourselves. And that changes how DNA is expressed. It changes the activation of DNA. Right now, DNA is very contractive, operating very tiny parts of our DNA. As we activate that activation and your connection to your higher self, which is the cultivation of your higher faculties, is the activation of DNA. And it also opens your access to pulling infinite potential through your body source. Basically, it animates life into this body. And it also gives you access to the Akashic realm through the chakra system. And you begin to remember. You remember your entire life memories. You begin to remember past simultaneous lives, and you begin to access, you know, higher dimensional consciousness. So all of that, those ET beings, whatever it is that you're connecting to, what you have, you are all of that. So whatever you begin to recover memory of, it's recovering of memory that's actually happening. Okay, so the recovering of your memory is high conductivity in the body, bioelectricity. Through the cultivation of the 0 point, through the regulation of your nervous system, is becoming more highly conductive, which is the activation of DNA, which is the ability to access higher dimensional consciousness through your body. So that's basically what I mean, is that we are infusing our DNA with everything, is source. We're integrating all of that infinite potential into this physical body. And to make it simple, it just means that we're recovering our memory of being all and nothing simultaneously. I hope I made that clear. Shala, thank you so much. Much love to you. Margaret says, infusing our day together with everything. Infusing our DNA together with everything. Yeah, so the DNA is basically like, it's a massive database of information that includes all potential life forms, all potential manifestations. You are infinite potential, right? So right now the human body is just using a tiny little part of that DNA to create this physical system. As you activate DNA, you access holographic DNA, which allows you to use more of this database of information, which recovers your memory of everything that you are. Everything is simultaneous. Everything is simultaneously available to you. So it's like it reads from the blueprint of your DNA. You have access to dimensional consciousness, ET aspects of yourselves, all of that. What kind of future programs are going to utilize humans with access to their multidimensional DNA? Do you work with any of these programs now? Okay, so what kind of programs? Programs, well, um, what it is that the parasitic systems right now, they model technology after organic systems of advanced technology. Okay, so you are an advanced system of organic technology. You have higher faculties. You are a portal through your body. You can bilocate. You can through quantum non-locality, through entanglement, you have access to the entire universe through this physical vessel as you astral project and utilize those tools, which are naturally part of us. Okay, so that we have been told that that's fantasy, that doesn't exist, that we don't have access to that that's not real, as part of these programs to put us into sleep and allow control over humanity in order to become, producers, productive material producers. Okay, in whatever way matter is being exchanged and moved by the human. And so essentially these programs are run by what we can kind of define as a shadow government, but it's the parasitism, it's the parasitism that has emerged from dormant states of human consciousness. Okay, so this is natural. Okay, so obviously if you don't take care of your body, you're going to become sick. So think of the same thing. The natural earth, the earth, it comes out of harmony. Everyone fell asleep. We come out of harmony. Now we just have to wake up and then come back into harmony. Okay, this is all that's happening. So it's not that we work with any of these systems, but if we become parasitic to ourselves, if we hurt ourselves, if we re-traumatize ourselves every day by repeating the same programs of self-destruction, we are part of those self-destructive programs. So in the future, in this shadow government, they target highly intuitive people because, again, they are a portal. Their DNA is very valuable. And there are bloodlines. We all are descendants of very valuable bloodlines that hold a puzzle piece to the history, to the real history of humanity. The more that we clean up, basically, the more that you heal your trauma in your life, you're going to uncover these memories of your DNA. So that's why I say that you need to remember your past lives. Your ancestral lineage holds the key to understanding the value of your DNA. And you will understand your life experiences. You're going to understand the family you've been born in, the country that you've been born in, because every blood type, every racial, every racial group has different ancestral programs and abilities that they are passing down through many generations. Okay, so all of us, and we are one, but we have this illusion of separation within different cultures, and cultures is a man-made thing, but I'm talking about the DNA and the history of what we hold in the memory as human experience. So certain groups that hold usually shamanic lineages that are deeply connected to the ancient civilizations that held the true wisdom of the earth, are the ones that have highly conductive DNA. Okay, so when you're highly conductive, you activate DNA, more memory is available through your genetic data. Okay, so they can take a sample of DNA from dad who was, let's say, an alcoholic, suppressing their intuition for many generations. That DNA will have a different, um, it will have certain limitations to their ability to access the information. It's still going to be super powerful because usually people that are addicts, they're actually incredibly intuitive and have a lot of abilities. Okay, but it's a different quality and different access to information than a person that is super highly connected, highly intuitive right now, working and using in these dimensional planes. They have more free will and they can discern more. So if you're parasitic, you're easily parasitized upon. If you are awake and highly conductive, you can use your discernment in the dream state and in any occasion in which you are targeted for this parasitism. So that's why it's really important to become aware and to utilize, to apply your free will. So in the future, a lot of people that are highly, highly intuitive are going to be targeted for the information because it's going to become valuable. Why? Because those that went down the road of transhumanism to have all kinds of unnecessary, unsupported, um, ill-researched genetic modification, their DNA will start to destruct. Okay, and there will be other severe illnesses that will manifest from that. New illnesses, genetic illnesses, mental illnesses, that will manifest into these people that choose to be tapped into this, technology. They're only going to get so far. Seemingly, they're going to look like they're going to be the super soldiers of the future, right? Super soldiers, right? But in reality, they will have a limitation. Organic technology cannot be limited, cannot be manipulated when the human understands how to really use that. So um, the gene pool, especially in reproduction, will go down. So those that are reproducing from the transhumanist agenda will have DNA that is limited. I wish there was a word for that. Like this, like the DNA will be destroyed. Okay, it will not be as good. And the DNA that comes from humans that have been connected to nature, that are utilizing their higher octave, just like all the advanced civilizations that we see in the future, that will be used to create and anchor souls into this planet that are multidimensional. This is the positive aspect of the hybridization program. The children that we anchor into this planet from pure love, from alchemy, from divine connection, these children are savants, they're deeply connected, and they're designed to bring healing for this earth. Okay, so there's a lot there, and I guess in my book, I'm trying to organize all this information for you to really understand it, because it's very important. But I hope that I'm speaking it clearly for you to understand. So do I work with these programs? What kind of future programs are going to utilize human? No, I don't work with any of these programs. No. Nope. Michael, is there an end to feeling and alchemizing this ancestral trauma? I feel like I keep experiencing the same patterns. Yeah, Michael. So, I mean, it ends when you choose. So we have to choose, basically. So if you're already aware of the patterns that you're repeating, it's right there. The thing is, Michael, that we probably don't know how to embody the opposite of that. And that is the hardest part, because you don't have a model of that. Okay. So this is where love is the key. Love yourself so much that every moment you're aware and you're choosing consciously not to repeat those patterns. That love is the unifying force that will alchemize you. And pretty soon, what you're going to realize is that all your healing is learning to discern between an action made from fear and an action made from love. And if you incorporate this ancestral healing into your moment, like right here, right now, what is the most loving thing for you to do for yourself right now in this moment? And can you do it without shame, guilt, or fear? That is the embodiment of self-love. That's why self-love is the unifying key to all of this kind of healing work. That's how we anchor in the new human into this planet, is by loving the self, honoring, respecting this physical vessel, um, to heal truly and to live as a heal. So I think the rest of my video also talked about a lot of that today. So maybe we can review some of those things. Kelly says, you mentioned an hour of meditation. I have stopped sitting. I have stopped sitting meditations. Could you suggest one of yours on YouTube, or what do you look like to have a format, so to speak? Yes. The best meditation is the one where we are doing energetic hygiene. And let me see if I can. So it's called Running Energy and Breaking Daily Karmic Contracts on my channel. So if you find that video, it's basically guiding you through this process of running energy, breaking karmic contracts, activating your light body, activating your crown. Okay? So at first, it's like a lot of little moving parts, but it can become very simple. Something that once you understand, takes 10 minutes to bring yourself into that alignment and start your day. And just maintain that level of awareness. GPAC, ground, protect, align, co-create. Ground yourself, be in your body, visualize that bubble around you all the time, all the time. Connect, work with your chakras, align your chakras. Your chakras, the chakras out of alignment is the responsible for the majority of our own self-parasitism, depression, pain, fear throughout the day. If you can learn how to work with your chakras, control them, you can work with your emotional body, and as a result, change your life experience. Okay, I teach this in GPAC. I go deep into that in GPAC. Okay, so thank you guys so much. Liza, thank you always for holding space for us to heal and grow. Love you. Love you so much. I love you all. Thank you so much. It's been an honor to share with you. Um, I will see you uh, on Sunday. And also, I want to kind of do a poll and ask you guys. I am being called to do kind of like a half-day retreat, like a mini retreat for the summer solstice. So that's June 21st. And the way I would love to do it is to start with Qigong to learn how to move energy through the body, like energetically. I'd love to teach you guys how to do that. Um, I'd love to show you this daily meditation of running energy. And then I would love to take you guys into a hypnosis to kind of access some of these past life blockages. So if you guys feel like you would like that, I will put it on the calendar for June 21st. That's Saturday. It's the summer solstice. It's a very powerful day that is really rich with this kind of healing work. So I'm going to put that out into my calendar, and if you want, please join me for that. Okay? Thank you so much. And I will see you. Love you. See you soon. I know, Liza, I was thinking to do it in person, but I wonder if it's too last minute. If I were to schedule something in person for June 21st. I was tempted to do that yesterday, but it might be too difficult. I was thinking to maybe do something in Shasta, here in California, but I'd like to get a poll from you guys. Where are you guys located? And where would you be willing to meet me to do an in-group, in-person gathering? Um, please comment on the video and let me know so I can put something together, because I'm getting a very strong call to do something like that. Okay, so let's work together and see if we can unite. All right, love you. I'll see you soon. Bye.